Mike Huckabee. Well, let's get some reaction to those words and the rest from political researcher Salman Al-Ansari, joining us from the Saudi capital today. You're most welcome, sir. Yeah, Riyadh has warned Israel that the annexation of the West Bank, it's a red line. Do you foresee Saudi taking some sort of direct action if that line is crossed?
Yeah, thank you so much, Yunan,
Thank you
for having me. And honestly, before I answer your question, it's actually a beautiful coincidence for us in Saudi Arabia to witness two meaningful events on the same day, the Saudi National Day and the global recognition of Palestine. With regards to your question, Netanyahu, as you know, has been bragging in the past that Saudi Arabia would recognize Israel without a Palestinian veto. Today, Saudi Arabia has turned the tables, working to establish a Palestinian state without Netanyahu's veto. And definitely any form of West Bank annexation will not only be a red line, but I would call it a bloodline. The Israeli fanatical government is, I believe, at the peak of desperation, trying their best to lobby the US administration for a green light. It would definitely be very foolish for the Trump administration to give such approval. Doing so would definitely completely jeopardize the U.S. strategic interest with all its Arab allies and the wider Muslim world. And definitely it would create irreversible, dangerous consequences in the Middle East. And I believe actually that one of the major obstacles to peace is not only Netanyahu himself, but also the presence of dogmatic, messianic American officials such as Ambassador Huckabee, who is 100% Israel first, with definitely with U.S. interest being his last concern. And I see actually the Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, as more pragmatic and humane and U.S. First kind of guy. But it seems Huckabee has Trump's ears more on this issue. So, but overall, it may be wishful thinking on my part to believe that President Trump could turn against Netanyahu's desires, but such a move would definitely unify his constituency more than ever, since the MAGA movement has recently split over Trump's blank check to Netanyahu, where people are actually asking and wondering, is America first or Israel first?
Yeah, there is big division, you're right. The war in Gaza, Mr. Al-Ansari, it began as a reaction, of course, to October 7th. But Israel's operations now affect the region at large. Has the mission to target Hamas, has it shifted into a much broader campaign, and will it continue to do so?
Yeah, with regards to Hamas, we've been actually very vocal in the past. We all have said it multiple times that Netanyahu and his policies, and also by his own words, that he has been creating this division between the Palestinian factions through supporting Hamas. And we all know how the Mossad chief has been in direct contact with them to facilitate money, etc. So they were actually part of the problem. So if anyone from the American administration wanting to confront Hamas supporters, the first ones should be Netanyahu himself, because he has been using this, but it's not very fashionable to say that because people will not believe it. But if you look at the facts, you will realize that Netanyahu and Hamas are two sides of the same coin. But with regards to the grievances of the Palestinians, the Saudis have been very vocal about this. Even before the 7th of October, we have seen how the Israeli government has been killing children, jailing children, and killing people in the West Bank in multiple occasions with provocations against holy sites of Islam. And the Saudis have initiated more than 19 strong statements that would warn the world and the United States and the international community about the disastrous Israeli government's practices before the 7th of October. So now, right now, the Arabs have made it very clear there will be a two-state solution, and Hamas will not be in power. The Palestinian Authority, led by Abu Mazen, Mahmoud Abbas, will be taking charge of the whole thing. So that's why the Saudis, the French, and the other partners are actually working to reform the PLO or the Palestinian Authority.
Well, yeah, they're saying that, and they're trying to be very direct, stating that Palestinian statehood, our support of that will depend on Hamas dismantling. But in reality, they've got support on the ground. They won elections before they could do that in the future. So is it a vacant point by the likes of Britain and Portugal and Spain and the rest that Hamas will not be in a position of power? Because how are you going to stop that in reality?
That's a good question. And I think one of the only things that Hamas and its supporters, Iran, are in complete agreement with the Israeli fanatical government is the fact that they don't want the two-state solution. And to answer your question, we need to show the Palestinian people that there is a political, diplomatic alternative. Otherwise, the Hamas militia will recruit even more people, and there will be more bloodshed and more violence. So this is a circle of violence that needs to stop. So that's why I completely salute the French government for their courageous step and very pragmatic. And it's actually a step that would strip Hamas and the Iranian-backed militias from their recruitment tactics. And one of the things that has been going around in the media, which is absolutely wrong, that some in the media that claim that these recognitions of Palestine are important but symbolic. Nothing could be further from the truth. They carry legal weight, imposing financial and legal sanctions on companies operating in the occupied territories of the Palestinian state. And this extends even beyond Europe. So we are speaking of tangible legal steps that will follow after this beautiful, I would call it beautiful, just recognition of Palestine.
Just a final point. Before October 7th, a Saudi-Israeli détente was, in a way, gathering speed. With Mr. Netanyahu's subsequent actions, will Israel be a pariah in terms of regional relations for perhaps decades to come? Is there any future for Israeli and Saudi relations going forward in the near to immediate future?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question. And I think it's not actually the time even to entertain the idea of any kind of normalization without having the two-state solution to be a reality.
So that's what it depends on, does it? A Palestinian statehood?
Exactly. Yeah, Saudi normalization would definitely be a big step, and it will pave the way for Israel to secure recognition from literally half of the global south. We are speaking of 57 Muslim countries. And I would think that if Donald Trump is truly serious about having a legacy and to pursue a Nobel Peace Prize, he must show leadership and to break America's isolation, because I think it's not only Israel that is isolated, but also the United States has been isolated, because let's not forget the Five Eyes, the intelligence sharing alliance, Canada, New Zealand, the UK, Australia, they have all recognized Palestine. So the United States is the one and only right now that has been actually isolated. So right now, to answer your question, Israel is already a pariah state, and there will be no future for this Israeli government without having common sense to prevail, which is to give the Palestinian men, women, children their absolute rights, which has been denied by the world, unfortunately. So right now, we should look and work diplomatically with our partner, the United States, to break this kind of isolation and to make them go hand in hand with the wider world. I'm not going to say the Arab and Muslim world, no, the wider world on recognizing Palestine, because this will actually secure and ensure Israel's security the Palestinian security and self-determination for sure, and also the regional securities, and also the U.S. Long-term interest in the
interesting point to end on as well. Not many bring up that